Hey guys, so just wanted to give you guys a quick tour about this awesome solar system that I have up on the roof. So we're gonna go upstairs and we'll be going through the actual system, and then coming down we'll be obviously showing you where the wires are coming down, where they are actually installed, how do they go to the batteries, to the charge controller, and all that good stuff. So let's begin. All right, folks, we are going to walk you guys through the actual solar panel system that I have up on the roof. And we're gonna climb up on the stairs. Well, not stairs, it's actually a nice ladder, as you guys can see. So just brace for impact. Let's see if I can hold this camera with one hand and then climb at the same time. It's gonna be kind of hard, but I'll try it anyway. Let's see what happens. All right, so let's try to do this, folks. And we made it, yeah, okay. So this is the top of the roof, as you guys can see. These are the panels. So as you guys can see, this is a fully walk-on roof. It's a StarCraft 2019 27B HU. And as you guys can see, I did not install the panels on both sides of the RV. I installed it on one side only because I'm planning to actually install another 4 or at least 3 on this side, and maybe one in the very front, or maybe 2. So hopefully I can get to at least 1,000 watts or maybe even 1,200 watts. I mean, 400 watt is more than enough for general usage, like lights and a little fan, TV, occasional micro. I mean, I'm not complaining at all. I mean, it's working flawlessly. It's been up here for almost about 4 months, 5 months now. Just cleaned them, so they look pretty much brand new. They were just a bit dusty before I came up, so I did clean them before the video so you guys can see the true color of it. So I'm planning to put another maybe, let's say like 2 here and then maybe 2 in the front, so that would be 800. And if you move to the front and turn around, as you guys can see, I still have space beside the right next to the AC, and right after the AC I can probably put another 3 or 4 there. So I mean, and I could still have space to walk. I mean, it's a big roof. It's designed to hold probably close to 1,000, maybe even 1,200 watts. What I'm trying to achieve to run the AC, obviously, but if not, never really run out of juice. So lots of questions on how do you hook up your solar panels, and I've done quite a lot of research. This is my second project. I used to have an older RV, like a 2016. This is a 19, and the best of both worlds, as they say, series or parallel or series. So you can do basically series and parallel. So what you do is pretty much you put 2 panels, 100 and 100, in series, and then you do 100 and 100 in series, and then you hook them up in parallel. So what this will give you will eliminate, well, not eliminate, but help you with shading. I hope you guys can hear me. It's kind of windy up in the roof here. And so let's say that 2 of the panels are in shades. If this would be in parallel, it would definitely kill the 4 panels. If it is in series only, it won't kill any of the panels, but you won't really benefit from both worlds. So that was the best suggestion to do. So that's what I've done. I've done series and then I've done parallel. So technically I have two 200 watts connected. That's what pretty much this one comes down to, instead of having each 100-watt panel hooked up to the inverter. As you can see, there's 2 cables going down. So the cables are kind of tucked away pretty neatly. As you guys can see, there's no any kind of a junction box that a lot of people do. I didn't want to make a mess out here, so pretty much it's right there. I don't know if you guys can see it. That's one of the connection, and then there's another one hidden right underneath this. I literally pretty much kind of put it right underneath. They are totally waterproof. I just didn't want the to be exposed to the sun. And then the plus minus comes right out, and then what I did, it goes through the AC. So I removed this panel right there, and it goes right into the coach, and then I will continue downstairs. So, but that's pretty much the overview. It's very simple, guys. Don't think much of it. I know a lot of people, oh my god, I'm gonna make a hole in my roof, but look at that. I mean, I couldn't do all 4 connections that the solar panel has, like 1, 2, 3, and 4. I couldn't do all of them in the beam. As you can see, that's a beam right there, that's another beam. It's got like cross beams, and there's another one right there. So there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beams. So if you can get at least one to the beam and the other one into the plywood, I'd say you've done a great job, because they won't reach unless your panel is longer. These are kind of long panels. They're not the longest, obviously. They're bigger panels than this, but see, I put one in the beam, one in the actual 5/8 plywood. Same thing on the other ones, and I kind of put them about 5-6 inch off the edge. I didn't want to go right into the edge of it. So it's been steady. Use their own screws that they sent me with. I didn't pre-drill them. I just drilled right into it. Every single one of them pulled perfectly. And then I used die-core, as you guys can see right there. Hopefully the sun is not blocking everything. Just put it right over the screws everywhere. I used quite a lot. Probably I used like 2 tubes. Obviously you cannot be shy with that, because you're talking about your roof here. As you guys can see all around it. I might have put too much, but it's better to put too much than not enough, obviously, right? There's a space, if you guys can see. That's how these are designed, so the water or leaves or dirt, whatever, wind pass right through it. And that's pretty much it, guys. We're gonna go downstairs, and then we'll continue showing you guys the process. All right, guys, we're down in the coach right now. We made it down safely. So as you look up here, let me turn this light off right there. So that's where the cable comes in. I made this a little bit bigger so the cables do not, get bothered or anything. And as you guys can see, this little sticky pad doesn't really stick, but I'm gonna probably have to put a screw in there, which I don't really want to do. But and then it goes in to this little hole that I made right behind the micro, and it goes all the way, and then it comes out there, and then it goes in there. Now behind this, I'm not going to remove this right now, but behind it there's a 10 amp fuse. If I want to disconnect the panels, I can just by flipping a switch, don't have to go upstairs. And then the cables do come out here. That's the actual charge controller. So let me start from the bottom. So these two cables coming from the panels, plus minus. These two cables going to the battery. It's a 6-gauge battery, 6 AWG, American wire gauge. So the panel would normally not take anything bigger than 8. I mean, thicker than 8. So as the numbers go, the the bigger the number is, the thinner the wire is. The smaller the number is, the thicker the wire is. Okay, so these are 6-gauge wires. So I had to kind of, you know, split off a little bit at the edge just so I can fit them in there, because those holes aren't really made for 6-gauge wires. They are made for 8-gauge wires, which they did send 8-gauge wires, but I didn't want to use those 8-gauge wires going to the batteries. Not only they were, in my opinions, they were a little bit too thin, they were not copper on top of that, but they were not long enough anyhow. So I knew I had to get new wires for it. So that little thing over there, it's a battery battery temperature, as you can see temp. So just kind of measures the battery temperature, and if the battery gets too hot, obviously it won't charge it at a high speed. It just slows the speed or even shuts it off, so they don't, you know, burst the battery or, you know, boil the battery up. As you guys can see, it's reading 14.2 volts. So technically the battery is fully charged. If you look on the very top, right under the Renogy sign, you see that little blinking light. Right next to it, there's a panel. That's the solar panel. So it shows, if you look, it says right now it's boosting. Usually it says float. So it's on boost, but usually it's floating. Since it's only what is it, like 11:30-ish, I believe. So it's probably still in that floating, boosting stage. And then the battery the light right next to it shows battery just fully charged. Right under that shows the little icon of a bulb. See, that's not lit, which means I have no load from external load. And then underneath that there's a little kind of triangle that's also off, meaning there's nothing wrong with the system, everything's cool. If anything would have happened, that light would probably come on, which never did. And as we walk you guys through, so let's see, so I'm pulling in at this time 36.8 volt. Right now it's kind of boosting, floating at 3.47, but if it's discharged as at any given moment, it goes up to, I believe, about 28 amp, 30 amp, which is pretty good. That's on a very sunny day, which obviously over here it's nothing but sunny day. Shows 100%, so that's why you see the 3.47 amp coming in, because that's pretty much nothing. It's just kind of boosting, floating there. That's the 14.2 volts, the battery charge at this point. As that's the actual little light bulb that you saw right above it, which means I am not currently using any external load on it. And that would be 0.6 amp hour. That would be the amperage usage that I'm not using any external. And that's the temperature of the battery. It's in Celsius for some reason, but it's 37 Celsius, which is not bad. According to, sometimes it goes up to 48. And 15, not even sure what that is. And EQ means, EO means error messages, and there's 0. That would be the little triangle, if you guys can see that. So there's no error message, otherwise it would probably show 1 and the light will be on. And then we are back to the main screen. And as you can see, there's the panel on the left, there's the battery in the middle, and then there's the bulb on the right. And then if you look at the bulb, I mean at the panel, between the panel and the battery, there's that little arrow that's kind of blinking, going up and down. So it's kind of showing you that it's kind of charging, but it's really not charging anymore. It's just kind of floating through it. Usually where it says boost, it usually says float. And then from the battery to the bulb, there's no power whatsoever because there's no external charge hooked up to it. So that's pretty much the charge controller. It's a 40 amp MPPT charge controller. There you go. So just to give you a slight rundown on the PWM and the MPPT charge controllers. The PWM or PMW, I'm not even sure which one it is now. I used to have that long time ago. That's a charge controller as well. It's just not as great as this one. They say the MPPT will pretty much keep you 99% charged at most time, and then it will give you the most amperage that's coming from the panel. So somehow it's just the most efficient, 99% efficient, that's what they say. So where the MPWs are probably 70, 80, 85%. So it is a lot more money, obviously, but they say it's a lot better one. So get the MPPT if you want to get a charge controller. Don't get the PMW. Or if you just, you know, want a 100 watt panel, you know, from Harbor Freight, they only come with the MPWs, they don't come with the MPPTs. So that would be also fine. I used to have that before, had no problems with it. But at this time I just wanted to go for a little bit more power, a little more efficiency, a little more technology, a little more quality. So in that sense, that's why I've got the Renogy, 40 amp MPPT charge control. This one did come with the 400 watt solar panel. Did not come with those 6-gauge wires. That it's extremely expensive, you know, considering there's only a wire. So that wire kind of goes down there, goes all the way down there. There you go, goes underneath there, comes out there, and then goes all the way into the actual basement, or whatever you want to call that, storage area outside. That's where the actual inverter is hooked up. So we're going to go outside and walk you guys through the actual inverter. All right, so what you're looking at, guys, it's the 1500 watt pure sine power inverter. All right, it's 12 volt, 115 watts, or volts, I mean. All right, so right here, it's a little crowded, but there's where the power wire coming out. Well, there's a mirror, so it kind of looks like it's double, but there's only one. And then it continues right around here, goes up there, and there you go. So in order for you to be safe, you want to have a a fuse. So let me just kind of zoom in there. There you go. So it's a 40 amp fuse. Okay. So there's the 12 volt coming in from the panel, from the charge controller, sorry, and there's going out. Okay. So that wire obviously is going to the battery. So as you can see, the black coming from the charge controller, same thing, 6 gauge wire going down to the battery, and then it follows, there you go. Now the so the inverter is being hooked up. Let me see if I can show you guys that. Should be able to. All right, I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's a 150 amp fuse, and that wire, as you guys can see, it's pretty thick. I might have gone overboard, but I'd rather do that than have any loss. So that's a 1/0 cable. So for those that not sure what's a 1/0 cable, you can look it up. But as you guys do, you know, 6 gauge, 4 gauge, 2 gauge, 1 gauge, 0, and then this is below 0. It's a 1/0. So it's pretty thick, full copper, American-made wire, black and white. I mean black and red. Again, you hook the fuse up to the actual positive wire. Okay, and it's just hooked up to the actual inverter on both sides. You see, plus and then minus, and then those two obviously again goes down underneath to the battery. So I didn't actually unhook my batteries to show you that, guys. It would have been a lot of work. But just imagine we're outside now. So this one right here is the actual wires from the charge controller. Okay, that's the black one here is the actual temperature meter wire, and that's the 1/0 wire that goes coming from the actual inverter, and they both go to the battery. Both go to the plus and minus. Now the way I hooked it up, since you guys can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 batteries. It's all covered for rains and dust and stuff. The way I hooked it up, I hooked up one on the plus here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is my 5th battery, and I hooked it up the minus over here. So positive to the first and negative to the last. A lot of questions about that as well. Where should I hook up my battery? First, last, second. So this way you kind of getting the full amperage out of it. A lot of people say that you can just hook it up to the first one or to the second one and they still work fine. And I do agree with that, but this way made more sense to me to do the first one and then to do the last one. One more thing, guys, I wanted you guys to see the way this whole thing is actually working, obviously. So let's get in the coach again. So basically it does come with a beautiful switch right there, and that's coming from the actual inverter. So it's coming in, it's right there, going in underneath, coming right up, 2 little screws. And watch this. I turn that on. The inverter comes on with a bit of a fan noise and then stops right in a second. And I'll show you guys the actual readout and everything. So as you guys can see, it says 14.3. I hope that's visible enough. And then you can also switch this to wattage. Obviously right now I'm not consuming any wattage. You can also master switch. You can also turn that off with a master switch. That's the actual remote. And you can turn these ones on manually. I didn't talk about this totally, I forgot about it. So as you guys can see, I have 2 plugs going in. They're pretty heavy duty extension cords. They are designed for outside snow and all that, so they will handle pretty much everything that I throw at them. And they kind of nicely hooked up right there. One goes that way, obviously one comes this way, and then we'll go inside and I'll walk you through the rest of it. So they come in right there. I mean, one of them comes in right there, goes in there, comes nicely around it, and comes down here, and bang, there's the power. That's right on. There's power right there. So that's pretty much a plug that goes to a micro, goes to the microwave. And as you guys can see, it's not plugged in right now, but once I plug this right in there, micro is going. Maybe I should even show you guys that. Why not? All right, so let's see if I can do this one-handed. So we unplug it from shore power. And then let's see. We'll turn that. Oh, it's not gonna happen. All right, let me just use my other finger here. All right. And there you go. Sorry about that, guys. So it's plugged in. There's the micro. I'm gonna turn it on for you guys. There's nothing in there, but I'll show you guys the actual charge controller. And there's the charge controller. That's where it's kind of dipping, 12.5, which is amazing. 12.1, 12, 11, 19, 11, 18, 11, 17, 11, 19, 12.2, 12.3, 12.4. So it has that nice cycle. It's a pure sine inverter. I'm going to stop the micro because, there you go. Because the micro does not like to go with nothing in it. You guys know that. And then out here I have, let me show you. So there's the other power cord coming in right there. That was the one that was going to the right. Comes all the way nicely tucked in, comes all the way this way, and then it goes inside. Just move this right there. Goes inside there. All right, and then it comes in right there. It comes up there. And then from there, what I did was I made a little hole there. So it goes into this little box right behind the radio CD player, and then comes out there. And there's your power. Simple. So you got a power here, and then you got a power there. And then I have an extension cord, and all I'm going to do, turn this on. As you see, the light comes on. Let's close the cabinet. We're going to turn on the TV. Turn the lights off. You don't need that right now. All right. There's your TV. So I don't have my internet connection connected right now. But that would be pretty much TV for you. And then nothing is going to come on because you are not connected to the internet. So that's how simple it is, guys, to generate your own power. Yeah, there's an upfront cost, there's no doubt about it, but as you see, I had the panel coming on. So right now it says MPPT versus saying boost, and it's at 13.3, and it is charging. Right now the light is not blinking. What you see is probably just the camera kind of flashing there, but it's not flashing, it's on. So right now the panels came on. Now let's see how much voltage is coming in, because I used a little bit of a micro there. So right now I'm pulling in 16.3, but don't forget, the battery is still showing 100%. So, but it isn't really 100%. Obviously it's like 99.5, but obviously this thing isn't that smart. But it's pulling 16. Now if the battery would be, let's say if I'm running that micro for another 4 minutes, 5 minutes, I guarantee you this will come to show probably about 30 to 35 amps, which is where it's supposed to be. But it's not pulling in that much because it's a smart controller, so it's just kind of floating the battery with enough juice to kind of come up to the fully 100%. So that's it. and there you go. So within probably 10-15 minutes that will go back to 14.2, what it was before, and that's it. And there's your power. You never run out of juice. You never really have any issues with it, whether it's a micro you want to run, or your TV, or your little fan. But what I'm shooting for is this baby right here, to run the AC in the middle of the desert. I know it's gonna cost me a lot of money, but hey, everybody has a hobby, right? All right, guys, so I'm gonna check out. Please, if you like this video, give me a like. And there you go, 14.2 flashing, done. Now it wasn't even 15 minutes, it was like 2 minutes. Please subscribe to my channel, so you support my channel, and so I can come up with more videos like this. And I will be making more videos like this, so you guys can see all the progress that I'm making with the new panels that I'm going to be putting up pretty soon. Once again, best to all of you. Love you all. Checking out.